I can still hear his laughter bouncing off the walls of the living room. The very same room my father had built, brick by brick, with his own hands. That night, my stepfather lounged on my father's couch, glass in hand, claiming it as his own. In that instant, I stopped seeing him as family. He said it lightly, almost joking, "If you're living under my roof, you follow my rules." My blood ran cold. That word, my, hung in the air like a toxin. The same roof my father had left me in his will. The same house where my mother and I had wept as we buried him. And now this man, an intruder wrapped in charm, thought he could rewrite ownership. I said nothing. I simply watched him from across the table, a faint smile on my lips. That night, I decided he wouldn't remain here. After my father's death, my mother had shattered, and he had appeared, the perfect savior. Kind, gentle, a man who knew when to bring flowers and when to offer silence. He helped her breathe again. And I didn't stop her from marrying him. She deserved a second chance, I reasoned. For a while, life was calm. His children moved in, loud and messy, but bearable, the kind of noise you tolerate because your mother is smiling again. Until the smile started to fade. It began subtly. He started calling the house ours, then mine. He locked cabinets, moved furniture, imposed rules. One day, he even told one of his sons to use my father's study, my study, as their gaming room. I discovered my father's photograph face down on the floor. That was the first crack. The second came when my mother hesitated to intervene. "He's just trying to make everyone comfortable," she said. Comfortable. That word became a blade, slicing through every boundary my father had left behind. Then came the final blow, the property documents. I found them in his drawer, photocopies of my father's will, highlighted and annotated, as if he was plotting how to challenge it. He had been scheming to take the house from me, legally. I didn't argue. I didn't shout. I didn't even tell my mother. Instead, I began documenting everything, every word, every move, every threat hidden as a rule. I visited the family lawyer, the same one who had handled my father's estate. He remembered me. He remembered the will. And he reminded me, no one can claim that property unless you sign it away. That sentence became my armor. I returned home that evening with a calm smile. He mistook my silence for surrender, unaware that silence was my strategy. Step 1. I legally changed the locks, with proper notice. Only my name appeared on the deed. Step 2. I issued a formal eviction notice, addressed, dated, signed, polite, but cold. Step 3. I waited. Predictably, chaos erupted. My mother pleaded. He shouted. His sons cursed. But legally, they had no claim. The house wasn't theirs. It was mine. When I called the police, I handed over the papers and watched as officers escorted him and his sons out. They glared at me as if I had burned their world. Perhaps I had. My mother stood trembling, then silently packed her bag and left with them. That was the only part that hurt, but I didn't stop her. Some people choose peace even at the cost of losing themselves. 2 weeks later, he returned alone, standing at the gate with a folded letter. He said he wanted to talk. I let him in. He looked around like a stranger in a museum, every corner reminding him of what he had lost. He tried to sound calm. "Your mother's miserable. You could have handled this better." I poured him a glass of water. "You could have remembered whose house this is." He offered that smug, rehearsed smile. "You think this is over? You'll come begging when the family turns on you." I leaned forward. "I already live alone. What else is there to lose?" His face contorted. The silence that followed was my victory. He left without another word. Months have passed. The house is quiet again. My father's photograph stands upright on the shelf. Sometimes I walk through the halls and listen. The echoes feel different now. He thought owning walls gave him power. But real power doesn't come from possession. It comes from knowing when to reclaim what is yours. My mother still hasn't called. Maybe she never will. Perhaps that's the price of peace. But as I look around this house, I know my father would understand. This place isn't just bricks and paint. It's proof that silence can cut sharper than any scream. And revenge, The quiet kind. Always sounds like the closing of a door.